Alright, everybody, thank you for joining me here this evening. The time is currently 5:50 p.m. Central, and you have a live look at a very strong and damaging tornado that just ripped through Cross Plains, Texas. This is a radar-confirmed tornado. As you can see, we have a velocity couplet that does match up with the debris signature here. It's a pretty weak tornado, okay, but honestly, it did look pretty impressive there for a few radar scans, so we're going to watch this very closely. We've had several tornadoes today, alright, and actually we had a strong tornado, but unfortunately I could not be live at those times, but now we're here, we're back. The strong tornado that we had was a PDS tornado that ripped through North Texas here. I believe it was back towards Windhorse, or however you pronounce that. This was in the south of Wichita Falls. If we take it back here on the radar, I bet we can actually see the tornado, because it wasn't too long ago, right? It was like 15-20 minutes ago I saw it, but unfortunately I could not go live at that time. Here was the strong tornado. Again, we've had a couple other tornadoes today, but this was kind of the strongest one here. It was PDS. Velocity estimated winds were kind of peaking out at, 110 miles per hour or so. So it definitely wasn't the strongest tornado we've ever seen, but it was pretty decent sized, okay? So anyway, again, we do have a decently strong tornado on the ground right now off to the west of Union Center, Texas. Again, this is a pretty strong tornado here, it looks like. Alright, again, this is a confirmed damaging tornado as well as tennis ball sized hail. So if you're in this area, you need to run to your tornado safe spot. Areas like Okra, Union Center, Sabano, Mountaintop, Romney, all the way up towards Carmen. You got to run to your tornado safe spot. Alright, very strong tornado here, most likely. Again, this eventually, if it was on the ground for long enough, it may have honestly ripped all the way through Cross Plains, but I don't believe it was. I think it kind of touched down somewhere around here. Alright, we can kind of see the first signs of the debris signature pop up right over the county lines here of whatever these two counties are. So the Callahan-Eastland County line there's kind of where it touched down. In fact, it says it touched down right on the line there in that description of the report of the tornado. Okay, and then there was also another report from the south. So again, this is confirmed by both train spotters, law enforcement, and actually even the radar, okay? So again, we have three different reliable sources confirming this tornado on the ground southeast of Sabano. Again, this tornado is just absolutely ripping through all these little communities out here. It was around here where you could kind of see, a very impressive velocity couplet. By the way, this is actually the original supercell we were watching in the first stream, and it did previously produce a tornado as well. This was back here towards Lawn, alright? After we ended our stream, that supercell did go on to produce a tornado, and again, this was kind of the first one that ever popped up, and it's still going. It's been going for hours and hours. It's produced multiple decently strong tornadoes, so this is obviously a very intense supercell. Right? Again, it kind of ripped through Cross Plains here, and then around here is where you can tell there was obviously a very impressive velocity couplet and tornado on the ground there. We were estimating our peak gate-to-gate shear to be, about 95 miles per hour or so. And again, now this is still a decently strong tornado on the ground here. Again, we're kind of estimating our gate-to-gate shear values being at about 70 miles per hour or 75 miles per hour. So again, we do have a decently strong tornado on the ground here that is ripping off to the east-northeast towards Union Center and Mountaintop. So again, if you're in this area, take cover now. We've also had several destructive severe thunderstorm warnings, and since last stream we did get a PDS tornado watch. We kind of talked about it. Very high-end PDS tornado watch as well, mainly for the hail threat, actually, alright? Widespread hail up to DVD size is likely. I've never seen tornado watch wording that aggressive, or maybe I have like a couple times, but very, very aggressive there with the hail threat, alright? We can see several tornadoes and a few intense tornadoes likely, widespread large hail, and scattered very large hail events up to 5 inches in diameter likely. Scattered damaging winds and isolated significant gusts to 80 miles per hour likely. This is a particularly dangerous situation. And again, that's for parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas here. And then obviously we have our other tornado watch down in Texas, which is actually where our current tornado on the ground is at. But I do think this tornado is lifted with that most recent correlation coefficient scan and velocity scan. As you can see, both are much weaker with their signatures here. Again, no clear tornado on the ground anymore, but continue to stay in your safe spot because this storm has a history of producing multiple tornadoes. So again, we're going to continue to watch these storms here. Again, I'm sorry, guys, I could not be live for the PDS tornado. But we're here now, and that's all that matters. I will say, actually, for the most part so far, our action's kind of been across parts of North Texas, surprisingly. Which I think is interesting, for sure. Considering the fact that we were expecting most of the action to be across parts of Oklahoma and Kansas today. You know, it wasn't until the most recent SBC update they included Texas in the moderate risk. And by the way, we do have a new tornado warning now. That's an extension for our storm out here. Really just a continuation because this warning's about to expire. So they do have a new tornado warning up now. This is for areas like Henrietta. So if you're in this area, take cover now. Again, this storm has a history of producing a very strong and large tornado. And again, it could do so again as it approaches Highway 287 south of Henrietta here. The rotation's really starting to intensify again, actually, as well. So I'm glad the new alert kind of forced us to come back and look at this supercell here. Again, pretty impressive hook echo with that. But I mean, again, these storms out here in Texas have way overperformed so far today. Already. So we'll continue to watch these over the next few hours here. Again, if you're just now tuning in, this is live severe weather coverage for parts of Texas where we have multiple tornado warnings in effect, alright? We've got a PDS tornado watch. We've got almost 24 severe thunderstorm warnings. We've got about 12.5. And just, some peak severe weather ingredients out here today, guys. Again, so far, I mean, Oklahoma and Kansas have kind of been spared here, right? Obviously, you're getting your strong thunderstorms and stuff, but tornadoes have not really been in the cards so far. We haven't even really gotten close to having a tornado here in Kansas or Oklahoma yet. I don't even think we've had a tornado warning yet up here. We did have some in between, I'm blanking, in between Large Apple and softball-sized hail off to the northeast of Arnett. This was about 22 minutes ago, so not really that long ago even at all. And it didn't even look that impressive of a supercell, but apparently it was. We were kind of far away from the radar site, so it makes sense. But yeah. So back down here to our storm in the Eastland area, again, Union Center. You continue to stay in your tornado safe spot. Same thing with Mountaintop, Romney, Carbon, Okra, however you pronounce it, Kokomo, and Staff. This does just clip far western Gorman here. Again, though, I think they're going to remove this any minute now, as the storm is no longer actively producing a tornado. But back up to our storm closer to Henrietta. I mean, again, it's got some rotation there as it approaches Dick Worsham. Actually, this is the supercell that produced the PDS tornado earlier. I was questioning myself for a second, but it was. Surprisingly enough, we actually still have a pretty large severe thunderstorm watch across parts of Georgia and Alabama, but I mean, at this point, there's just no convection out here at all, so I'm not sure why that's there, but it's interesting for sure how they're keeping that. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's a little blip hunt, really. Pebble Hill, we got a little blip to the north of town. We didn't really talk anything at all about that outbreak last stream. I believe I referenced it like 1 or 2 times. Mainly because I just want to let everybody know that the main focus is over here in the Southern Plains today. Again, areas like Texas and Oklahoma are the main focus at the moment. Mainly just Texas, though, really. And Texas has really overperformed today. Oklahoma and Kansas have kind of underperformed today, though. So, definitely pretty interesting. The significant tornado parameter values were up to like 26 in North Texas, ridiculously enough. Unfortunately, I'm not going to show these cyclone reports anymore because they made it very clear now that these are not for broadcast without owner permission. So, it's kind of just like this, the same reason I can't use the Storm Chasers feeds. just for copyright reasons. So they made that pretty clear because I think a lot of streamers like myself were using those, and apparently that was not legal. So we're just not gonna, dabble with that anymore. But this is a very interesting hook echo near Rising Star. It is a hook echo, because it has rotation, but I mean, that is the weirdest shape hook echo I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll say that much. See, it was a hook echo. You can see it very clearly here, as the tornado was near Cross Plains. But now it's just very deformed and oddly shaped. Somehow they still have this as an observed tornado, but again, this is definitely lifted at this point, guys. The velocity couplet where the tornado was is not even there anymore, so, I mean, it's pretty clear we don't have any ongoing tornadoes. Let's see here. I mean, it kind of feels like I went live at a bad time because we had so much action just before I started going live. We had strong tornadoes, but now that I am live, we've got nothing going on at all. So, I mean, we still got several chances though. Right, we're not done. I want to make that clear. It's not like we're done with the outbreak. We're again right in the middle of it, kind of actually. We're kind of in the peak convection hours right now, and I mean, it shows. We've had so many just picturesque supercells and tornadoes today. We've got something trying to spin up here near Chuckville, just to the south of where our tornado was earlier near Cross Plains. And I mean, this velocity couplet is not super tight, but it's pretty strong, so it would not shock me if we were to get a tornado out of that. It would not shock me at all. And that's really where our hook echo is at this point, because again, it's a very interesting scenario here where we had like two hook echoes on this storm. You can kind of see this was the area where we had our tornado. So there's that hook echo, but then we got another one poking out from that. It's very weird, to say the least. But again, that's what we're dealing with right now. Again, probably our more concerning of the two storms is this one down here, as it's more recently produced a tornado. But again, this one's still pretty concerning. It has produced a strong tornado. It produced the PDS one, very strong tornado. And again, potentially very large. But we've only had one PDS tornado today so far. So today we've gotten off relatively scot-free so far. Again, I want to reemphasize, so far. We're not done. We're not even close to done. But so far it hasn't been too bad. Not nearly as bad as it could have been, at least. So again, there's your velocity couplet at this point, with the next velocity scan will be located right in there to the southwest of Dick Worsham. So if you're in Dick Worsham, Henrietta, Edwards, Huggins, Walton, Ringgold, not Ringgold, but everywhere else, maybe taking cover now. Blue Grove, Frame, again, this is in North Texas. Far northern Texas here, just to the southeast of Wichita Falls. Again, this does include Henrietta, which is a pretty big city. So, or at least a pretty big town relative to the other areas out here in northern Texas. I don't know about a big city, but yeah, Henrietta only has 3,000 people. It's definitely not a big city. So, again, something trying to form here near Chuckville. At the very least, we got some damaging winds ripping through here, but, again, at worst, worst case scenario, we could have a tornado on the ground right now, you guys. So, again, if you're in this area, you should be taking shelter. I know the polygon kind of stops here. It doesn't include Chuckville, but Chuckville, you need to be in your safe spot as this moves past. And again, Okra, Union Center, just feels weird to call it okra, like the food, but it's pronounced okra, I think. Carbon, Kokomo, you need to continue to stay in your tornado safe spot, as there is still a tornado warning in effect. Again, this is no longer a tornado on the ground, but it is still a tornado warning. So yeah. If we do have a tornado, it'd be, that was a bad voice crack. If we do have a tornado, it'd be located somewhere to the northeast of Chuckville at this point. Okay, this is in central Texas. Kind of right in the heart of Texas, really. You can kind of see here where the regular tornado watch stops and the PDS tornado watch begins. So, again, our storm in North Texas, I don't want to ignore you folks up here in Henrietta. It's just not quite as concerning as our other one. Again, the Chuckville area. But it's still got some decent rotation with it, so again, if you're in this area, you should be taking shelter right now. In Dick Worsham, however you pronounce that, Henrietta, Edwards, Huggins, and Walton in northern Texas. Every time you hear that bam, 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 that's a new severe thunderstorm warning being issued. We're up to 21 now, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Again, we did have some destructive ones in between stream. We had PDS ones. We had some high-end ones. We've had a ton of them in general. So again, it's not like the tornado threat is the only thing that's there today. This is an all hazards in play day. Again, widespread hail up to softball, or sorry, not even softball, DVD size likely, which is just absolutely insane to think about. Again, that's about as high as you can get on the hail tag for a tornado watch. This should get a tornado warning here pretty soon, by the way. This is a very concerning storm near Buttermilk and Aetna in North Texas. Or sorry, not North Texas, what am I on about? Southern Kansas. Southwestern Kansas, very concerning storm here. Rotating quite a bit, along with a pretty impressive velocity couplet. Rotating quite a bit on velocities with a pretty impressive hook echo. Or at least just, the classic bean supercellular shape there. And again, earlier it did have a decent hook echo and even a hail spike. Because this is also producing large hail up to tennis ball size, quite possibly. And it's confirmed that it's producing up to at least golf ball size. And that's even with, a rural area where nobody's out here. So it's interesting for sure. Wonder how big the hail is. And the most intense part of that storm, probably pretty massive. Could even be larger than tennis ball size. So again, if you're in that area, get indoors and away from windows immediately, preferably on the lowest floor of the building. You might as well go ahead and act like this is a tornado warning because the storm is, very close to tornado warning limits. It's close enough to prompt a tornado warning. In my opinion, it's very close. So, here's something to note. We'd have a few little cells trying to develop here in southwestern Kansas. Now, obviously they're not producing any sort of tornado threat yet, but you gotta understand, about 17 minutes ago, these were nothing, and now we've got a couple of fully fledged storms out of them. So, as these continue to move up to the northeast, these could become a problem. Especially as they enter our extremely favorable tornado-producing environment. That, again, it has confirmed itself today. It's already produced a strong tornado, guys. A very strong one, indeed. So, don't question the event at this point, alright? It's intense. We were kind of questioning for a while whether or not this was going to be a huge nothing burger, but at this point, if we get nothing else, we've had a PDS already today. Buttermilk, who named that place? That's a good question. Alright, so again, this storm here near Okra, again, is very concerning. As it continues to rotate, they did finally downgrade the tornado warning to radar indicator. At this point, I feel like they're only leaving it up, actually, because of this separate area rotation than the one they were talking about before, when they issued the warning. But they don't really have a warning in a good spot at this point for this, so I'm going to draw a little square here, and everybody in the square, you should be taking shelter. Let me restart that. Something like that. If you're in this area, you need to take cover now. TCN. This is a rotating supercell capable of producing a tornado at any minute. If it's not already, it's got a hook echo. It's got a tornado warning for part of it. Again, though, that's not really the best spot because originally that was for a whole other area of rotation and tornado. But now, they really need to get a warning out for this. As this continues to intensify, it's kind of heading due east at this point. It's going to go through Sipe Springs, Duster. So again, if this is actively producing a tornado, these are the kind of areas we're talking about getting potentially hit by it. So yeah. And now we do have a new tornado warning for that area that we were just mentioning. They actually drew a little bit bigger of a polygon even than I did. So areas like Gorman, Duster, Sipe Springs, Rucker, De Leon, Beatty, Downing, Chuckville, all you guys need to be taking shelter immediately. And this is a rotating supercell capable of producing a tornado that's going to be in effect for over an hour now. So, unfortunately, you guys are going to have to, hunker down for a little bit. So, if you guys are, sitting out here eating dinner, hurry up and then get to your safe spot. In fact, just, get to your safe spot now. It's not worth it. Not worth risking it, because this could be actively producing a tornado, quite possibly. Again, really the areas that could get hit by this tornadic activity may not get hit by literally any rain. So if you're in this warning polygon, maybe you're sitting there in Sipe Springs and you're thinking, it's not even raining out here and we have a tornado warning? What the heck? That is because we have a weirdly shaped hook echo. It's a weird situation where it's going to lead to scenarios like this where we have a potential tornado on the ground, but it's, sprinkling at best out here. All of, the big time rain and thunderstorm activity is going to stay to the north of that, near Gorman and De Leon. De Leon, however you pronounce that. And then back up here to our storm closure to Wichita Falls. Again, this does include Henrietta and Dick Worsham. Continues to rotate here. Yeah, that is weird for sure, Alan Crow. And we do actually have a new tornado warning now in northwestern Oklahoma. This is not only for a possible tornado, but also baseball-sized hail. So again, if you're in this area, you need to run to your tornado safe spot. This is a very intense velocity couplet here, and it could actively be producing a tornado. And it may just not be, we may not be able to see a CC drop on radar because we're a little ways from the radar site. Maybe it's just not picking up debris that high, Call me crazy, but I think this is our first tornado warning of the day in Oklahoma. I could be wrong, though. I'm probably wrong, but I feel like it is. And, again, I mentioned this earlier in this storm near Aetna, or however you pronounce that. This is really dangerous, guys. Especially because this doesn't have a tornado warning with it. Again, this really needs to get a tornado warning. Hopefully the National Weather Service in Dodge City, would that be this zone? Yes. Hopefully the National Weather Service in Dodge City does see this and issue a tornado warning with it, or for it rather, because I mean it was more intense earlier, but geez, dude. Jeez Louise. Okay. So again, we're gonna continue to watch this Oklahoma storm now. Areas to the south of Highway 412 there, you need to be taking shelter. And again, our Texas storm here, near the Sipe Springs area is a little bit less intense at this point. But again, continue to stay in your tornado safe spot. Again, a lot of people, especially on the southern side of this warning polygon, are not even going to see any rain at all with this. So they're going to be like, oh, it was just a, a false alarm or something like that. But no. But yeah, I mean, if you're in Beatty, you may not get a drop of rain out of this cell, but it's still tornadic. And you are under a tornado warning now. So getting back up here to North Texas. Nothing too crazy, but some broad rotation at best there for sure. Wow. Pretty impressive gate-to-gate shear there. Again, our storm up here near Aetna is not only producing the threat for Lyme-sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour damaging winds, but again, a possible tornado in a couple of spots actually now. So if you're in this area, you should be taking shelter immediately. Very dangerous storm there, capable of producing all hazards. In terms of damaging winds, large hail, and even a possible tornado. Again, I mean, our storm here looks relatively disorganized, but it's mainly just because of the radar area here looking weird. And now this area of rotation of the south has prompted a tornado warning from the National Weather Service. So some areas here just got the alert on their phone maybe twice. Areas like Chester, Froso. That is correct. You're in two separate paths of rotation here. We got this one closer to Richmond, which is honestly the more concerning one at this point, and then we got this one up here off to the west of Cedardale. But again, in my opinion, this one looks even worse at this point in time. And very high velocities with that, about 95 miles per hour estimated by radar there, half a degree into the atmosphere. So again, take cover now. On the newest velocity scan, though, it's looking way more impressive. It's not taking long for these cells to die today, man. They just pop up, and as quickly as they form, they die. Again, this is looking really bad here near Aetna. If you're in Aetna, Eldred, you really need to take shelter right now, guys. Again, I know the National Weather Service has not issued a tornado warning for this, but I mean they really should be. Again, the National Weather Service though in Dodge City has a lot on their hands. Or sorry, actually this one's Norman, but they've got a lot on their hands anyway. With other severe storms up here in southwestern Kansas. So they may not have seen this yet, but if they do see this, it will likely get tornado warning. When will it start? I mean, the event's already started. We've already had a PDS tornado today. And now we have a third tornado warning down here. Another separate area of rotation. Oh my gosh, dude. So if you're in areas like Batto, you are under three separate tornado warnings for three different areas of potential tornadic activity. It's just absolutely ridiculous, dude. That is actually insane. That's just crazy. Imagine being under three tornado warnings. The alert system just went off three times, possibly, for people out here. They may just think it's the same alert over and over again, but no. These are three separate warnings for areas to the west of Fairview, north of Dane, north of Cedar Springs, and for areas to the north of Batto. Again, Batto is technically in the three different ones, but all the houses in Batto are to the south of where the town says it is. It's not even really a town. Again, it's like four houses right here. In fact, those aren't even different houses. That's actually just like one or two houses with some farms, it looks like. So, anyway, just absolutely insane what we got going on here, you guys. Insane stuff indeed. We haven't looked at our storm in Central Texas for a hot minute, so going back down to it here, we see it still has a pretty impressive hook echo with it on reflectivity, and it's still definitely rotating there to the northeast of Sipe Springs, so if you're in that area, take cover now. Back over to our storm in North Texas, it is also continuing to rotate here, but it can't get that last step off to produce a tornado. It's looking a little bit less intense now. It's looking at a pretty impressive supercellular shape to it, though. And then obviously we've also got our three tornado warnings out here in northwestern Oklahoma and just northwestern Oklahoma. What am I on about? Our storm here in southwestern Kansas, again, you should continue to seek shelter from that because that's a very impressive velocity coupler that somehow doesn't have a tornado warning associated with it near Aetna. Even has like a hook echo with it and everything. I don't know why it didn't warrant a tornado warning from the National Weather Service. Very well could have just had a tornado with that, and we could still have one, so stay in your safe spot up there. Basically, everywhere in that severe thunderstorm warning should treat it like a tornado warning. So areas like Eldred, Aetna, Deerhead, Mangana, Lake City, take cover now. Need y'all to take shelter from this big-time storm here. Hunker down, get comfy, because it is going to be a long night of severe weather. Long night indeed. I actually think the tornado threat's going to be the highest at around 7 p.m. Central, and we're getting there. We're at about 6:23 right now. Ugh, sorry, I gotta stretch out. Got like 11 hours of sleep last night. I'm still tired because the night before I got 5 hours of sleep, and then I went to Holiday World and was screaming and shouting all day, and I'm just beat, you guys. And tomorrow's obviously going to be a pretty big day because I've got severe weather in my area, so I got to make sure that I get my rest tonight. I'm not going to be up streaming at like 2 a.m. or something, but I've got to prepare for tomorrow's event, guys. It's going to be big, especially for my neck of the woods out here in eastern Illinois. We have an enhanced risk in place tomorrow for parts of the mid-Mississippi River Valley and parts of the Ohio River Valley, as well as the Tennessee River Valley. How many times can I say River Valley? And why do I say it like River Valley? Instead of River Valley, I just say River Valley. Mainly because it's usually at the end of the sentence. So I just kind of let go of everything. And I know a lot of the other big weather YouTubers are going to be live tomorrow as well. And even Ryan Hall will be live tomorrow because we have a 10% hatched tornado risk for a populated area. Areas like St. Louis, Cape Girardeau, back down towards Union City, Areas to the west of Clarksville are included in that. Areas like Carbondale, Fredericktown, Poplar Bluff, Sykeston, Paducah, Murray, areas to the west of Harrisburg, all included in that 10% hatch risk for tornadoes tomorrow, which means you have a 10% chance to see a strong tornado within 25 miles of any given point. So again, it's a 10% chance for St. Louis, 10% chance for Carbondale, 10% chance for Cape Girardeau, 10% chance for Fredericktown, Sykeston, Poplar Bluff, Union City, Paris, Murray, and Paducah. So, going to be pretty active for sure. And I actually do think that they are going to extend that 10% hatch risk a little bit further out towards the northeast here. I would not be surprised if Evansville were to get included in this 10% hatch risk by tomorrow's morning time SPC update. We also have a 30% hatch for damaging winds and a 30% hatch for large hail. Basically, everything that we have today stays the same for tomorrow, except for it's all one step below. One step downgraded, I should say. So, yeah. It does kind of actually, the area itself that has a chance for severe weather kind of reminds me of December 10th, 2021, where we had the Mayfield, Kentucky tornado. Right, on that day, we had obviously, that day is going to be much bigger than this day will end up being most likely, but we did have, a high-end risk of severe weather for basically the same area, similar setup and everything. But anyway, so again, back out here towards our triple tornado warning in northwestern Oklahoma. None of those storms are really impressing me anymore, but again, continue to stay in your safe spot because they could recycle. Was Huntsville upgraded for tomorrow? No, Huntsville is still only in the slight risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Actually, maybe they were in the marginal risk originally, but Huntsville's not going to get anything too crazy. Again, most of the action is going to stay off to the north of Huntsville, areas like if we're just talking about the enhanced risk in general, all right, we're talking about areas that are much more populated here, right? We've got much bigger cities, obviously. Areas like Nashville, Louisville, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Springfield, St. Louis, Bloomington, all these big cities up here across parts of the Ohio and Tennessee valleys in the mid-Mississippi Valley are included in that 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather tomorrow. And again, Huntsville is down there. That's in the slight risk, the 2 out of 5 risk. So, and the tornado warning has now been removed for North Texas. So this is an all clear for the Henrietta area. Alright guys, so since right now we don't really have any storms impressing me, we did just get a new severe thunderstorm watch for southern Nebraska, but since we don't have any storms impressing me, we're going to end off here. But yeah, we did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning for northeast Colorado and southern Nebraska, as well as northwest Kansas, so look out for that. But I do want to thank you all for tuning into the stream, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.